morning. It's April 29th, Wednesday. And the other morning, I ranted about the Small Business Association. And I gave you the definitions of a small business. The rules are based on some dollar value depending upon the industry or the number of employees. The document has a name. It's called Size Standards Used to Define Small Business Concerns. And every standard has a code. That's critical, because how are you going to find out where you fit in this scheme of things if you don't have the code? Okay. Of course, from year to year, the status of a business could change based upon dollars or employees. So I would expect that the Small Business Association would have a procedure in place to update their records every year. Sounds logical, right? But I know I'm wrong. Why am I telling you this? Because once again, the relief package related to COVID-19 is giving out money to businesses that are not small. And so now they've decided that they're going to investigate every loan over $2 million to make sure that that business is not a large business, right? But there's no code assigned to these businesses, so it's extremely difficult to do the investigation the way it's set up. And how dumb is it to pick $2 million as the cutoff, right? And Mnuchin proudly announces to the whole world that they're going to investigate every loan over $2 million. Well, if I want to get money, I'll say illegally, and I know he's going to look at anything over $2 million, I'm just going to ask for 1.9 million or 1.8 million. Didn't he ever learn when he was a kid to keep his mouth shut about what goes on in your house? Weren't you told not to tell anybody what went on in your house? So here he is telling the whole world what they're planning to do about the Small Business Association. And right now, it started again on Monday morning. It started again at 10:30 to give out loans. And again, technical issues plagued the second round of emergency funding for small businesses when it opened on Monday, with the users reporting error messages and slow processing. Now, I'm not surprised by any of this. The SBA, or the Small Business Association, is an agency that typically handles around $25 billion worth of loans each year.
What?
And now they've been asked to get $310 billion in the Payment Protection Plan out the door in a matter of days. How could they expect them not to fail, right? And there are some simple steps that could have been taken to avoid this. What has happened is all these loans have been stacked up at the banks, and they're just waiting to be released, when they should have been stacked up at the bank, but they should have been checked. If every one of those loan applications had to have the appropriate business code on it, then you could do a preliminary check and say, this guy's qualified. But there is no preliminary checking. They're putting the form together. It doesn't have the codes that identify it as a small business. Oh, it's madness. It's madness. Now, this system that the Small Business Association is using is something they call e-trans, which I suppose is short for electronic transactions or something. And the SBA has assured people through their aides that e-tran will be up and running smoothly. And then a number of last-minute changes were thrown in, and now they have a curveball for some financial institutions. Now, e-tran was set up and adjusted to make sure that all the lenders would be able to submit at the same rate per hour. so they would all be on equal footing. Now, the banks and the credit unions didn't understand this, and they didn't get this additional guidance in time to realize how Monday was going to work. Lenders can put a bulk of payment protection plan applications into the small business system to be processed. That means if they had a backlog, they could submit them all at once. It's a one-time only thing. But in order to do that, a lender has to have at least 15,000 applications ready to go. Had lenders known this was going to happen, they might have handled applications differently over the last 7 days. Like they might have even made sure that everybody was a small business or something. But they had no guidelines. They dumping technology on, on people who are not really technologists at the last minute. It's crazy. The SBA also announced that no one institution can loan out more than 10% of the total payment protection plan funds. That means that no lender can dole out more than $60 billion in the PPP loans. Just for context, no one financial institution is close to that money right now. But many of the bigger banks have long queues of applications right now. And the SBA is not counting in that money the $60 billion set aside for the smaller lenders in the cap. The small banks or the small credit unions that can lend some money. So they're not counted in this whole equation. So once again, we find that the Small Business Association, we shouldn't blame them entirely, the government, the massive government, brainless massive government, haven't thought this thing through and haven't figured out a way to streamline the process. And I'm a technologist. And this kind of ignorance bothers me an awful lot. I know the people that were put on the spot, short space of time, these guys are used to taking months to design systems like this. But this is an emergency. This calls for 12 or 14 or 16-hour days for experts. And obviously, we don't have the experts, or we didn't give the experts enough time. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for the people that are going to get screwed. There's going to be screwing going on all through this system. I feel sorry for the people that'll get rejected. But that's the way it is, and I don't think we're going to get smart overnight. So I'll see you in the morning. Bye.